Go to the kitchen now and stand in front of the sink. Place the stopper in the hole responsible for leaking water. Turn on the faucet and let the sink fill up completely. Then, take a metal bowl or plate from around you and place it on the surface of the water in the sink. The surprise is that you'll discover the bowl floats on the water's surface even though it's made of metal. Remove the bowl from the water, flip it, and place it on the water again while it's upside down. Then, you'll realize the dish sinks deep into the sink. Merely changing its orientation concerning the water's surface caused the dish to sink. Let me tell you, what you've just done while playing with water is nothing but a scientific proof of the principles of buoyancy specific to ships. And of course, after conducting this great experiment and playing with the water, all you need to do now is run out of the kitchen before your mother catches you. Welcome, I'm Jessie, and this is an episode of Midnight Musings. We'll answer the question, why don't ships sink despite being made of metal? Before we begin, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to receive our videos regularly. Who hasn't heard of Archimedes, the Greek physicist, and his famous story with the king of Syracuse? One of the goldsmiths offered the king a gold crown. The king requested it, but upon receiving the crown, he felt something was amiss. He suspected the goldsmith had cheated him. So, he pondered his options and then had an idea. He asked the guards to fetch Archimedes. When Archimedes arrived, the king asked, "You are a physicist, right? You can do anything, correct?" Archimedes replied, "Yes, I am a physicist." The king handed the crown to Archimedes and asked him to discover what was suspicious about it without damaging or breaking it, or causing any scratches or other damage. At that moment, Archimedes was anxious due to the king's peculiar request. He feared his inability to fulfill the king's demands, so he decided to take a bath to calm his nerves. While relaxing in the warm water, he noticed something. When he immersed himself in the water, it displaced the water upward, and as he descended, a force pushed his body upward. From this observation, Archimedes deduced that when an object is submerged in water, it displaces an amount of liquid equal to its weight, and this weight is equivalent to the weight of the object in the water. Based on this, Archimedes took the crown and placed it on a scale, placing an equal weight of gold alloy in the opposite side. Then, he submerged both the crown and the gold in water and observed the amount of displaced water for each. Here, he found a discrepancy. The supposed pure gold crown displaced more water than the alloy of gold and silver. This revelation exposed the fraudulent goldsmith who had mixed silver with gold to deceive the ruler. Archimedes informed the king about everything, and the deceitful goldsmith was apprehended. The lesson learned from this story: firstly, do not be like the deceitful goldsmith, and secondly, when a body is partially or entirely submerged in water, it experiences an upward force equal to the weight of the displaced liquid. This is the famous principle of Archimedes upon which the law of buoyancy for ships is based. There's a prevalent question in scientific circles: why does a massive ship float while a nail sinks? The answer to this question lies in its utmost simplicity. Archimedes stated that a submerged body displaces a certain amount of water. The condition for any body to float on water is that the amount of displaced water must be greater than the body's weight. If this condition is met, the body will float on the water's surface without any hindrance. Thus, we encounter three special cases regarding the law of buoyancy. If the amount of displaced water is greater than the body's weight, it floats. If the amount of displaced water is less than the body's weight, it sinks and cannot remain on the water's surface. The third case, where the displaced water matches the exact weight of the body, results in a unique scenario. In this case, the body neither floats on the water's surface nor sinks to the bottom. It remains somewhere in between. In brief, if we take a body weighing 100 kilograms, for instance, if it displaces 110 kilograms of water, it will stay afloat. If it displaces only 90 kilograms, or an amount less than its weight, it will sink. If it displaces an equal amount to its weight, it will hover midway, partially submerged and partially afloat. For those concerned about measurement units, 1 kilogram of water is equivalent to 1 liter of water. Now, let's answer the question: why does a ship float on water? What we know is that for it to float, it needs to displace a considerable amount of water, greater than its own weight. Let's add an additional piece of information. Larger objects displace more water. Now, armed with this information, shall we try a game? In this game, imagine a piece of iron weighing 100 kilograms. Typically, if you throw it in water, it would sink. But what if we alter the shape and dimensions of this piece of iron? Instead of a solid piece, let's turn it into a large hollow iron cube, resembling a gift box. Perhaps. The surprise is, if you were to toss this hollow iron cube into the water, it won't sink. It will float on the water's surface. This is despite it being the same piece of iron that previously sank when it was solid. The only difference here is that we've changed its dimensions, increased its size, and made it hollow. This is the magical secret that enables any object, regardless of its size, to float on water. We manipulate its dimensions, increase its size to displace the largest possible amount of water. Consequently, any ship's exterior structure is designed to ensure the displacement of a significant volume of water, surpassing the entire weight of the ship. Additionally, creating an air cavity within the ship itself contributes to its buoyancy. This air cavity reduces the ship's overall density compared to water, allowing it to float peacefully. This means that if we were to use the same amount of iron to create a solid, non-hollow ship, or remove the air cavities from an existing ship, it would immediately sink, just like the small nail. Even more strangely, if we took an ordinarily hollow ship but reversed its shape, where the upper part becomes the bottom, that ship, too, would sink. This mirrors the first experiment you conducted earlier in the episode. The scientific reason for sinking in this scenario is the removal of the air cavity within the body, resulting in an uneven surface that the water can't support, causing it to push it upward. Ultimately, the core concept isn't about the material the ship is made of, whether it's lightweight or heavy. The main idea is altering the dimensions of the material used, making it as large as possible, and adding an air cavity. This allows you to venture to the shore and begin constructing your dream ship. If this is your first time watching us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all the latest discussions on the strangest questions you ask yourself in the middle of the night. See you in the next episode.